for this video, I'm going to be doing something a little bit different, and that is I'm going to be taking somebody else's deck, and then I'm going to pilot it for 2 games. We're still going to follow the normal like deck testing format. I'm going to play it 2 games, win or lose on the ladder. But this is a deck that was played in the Master Series qualifier over the weekend. It was piloted by SnProok. I was calling him SnProok because of the SN periodic table reference, but this list just looked like a lot of fun. In fact, he brought 2 lists that I enjoyed a lot, so I'm going to end up playing both for YouTube videos at some point. We're going to start with this one. We were calling this Wound Scout because it very heavily leans on the -- theme that runs in agility. So we do have cards like Chorus Reaper, Sai Sahan, the Empire Dread Mage. You've got obvious inclusions like Shearpoint Dragon, but you've got some other interesting things. So we've got the Banelord and we have Weakness. Both of these set enemy health to 1, and if you have a Shearpoint Dragon on the board, that effectively kills the enemy creatures. So there's a lot of tricks in this deck, a lot of ways to kind of control the board. It's very much, in my opinion, a mid-range deck that's trying to exploit ways to generate just free tempo. I'm talking cards like Leaflurker that used to be a mainstay because it gives you a creature while denying them a creature. Same thing with Shearpoint. You are slowing down your opponent while generating a body. That's why Shearpoint used to see so much play back when, you know, decks were more board-centric. But anyway, this got prooked to the finals, and it performed, in my opinion, very well in the times we did get to see it, so we're going to play it. Like I said, we're going to follow the normal deck testing format, so I'm going to play 2 games, win or lose, on the list. We'll put the deck code in the video description. Prook also played a very interesting Battle Mage list that was very blue heavy, and I'm going to end up piloting that one for a video as well, just because it looked like a lot of fun. Right out of the gate, we get Ebonheart. Could be the ramp, could be mid-range. I don't think we keep Necromancer. I'm fine with the other 2 just because we have the ring. I think I'd rather have had a Necromancer than a Werebat for this particular matchup. Unless it's mid-range. If it's mid-range, Werebat can be very beneficial. But traditionally, you want your prophecies in your deck. You would prefer to be playing them for free, as opposed to the alternative. And we're gonna... Of course I'm on your side. See a Mournhold Trader. Okay, so not likely anyway. The Slay version of Ebonheart. I think they were debating whether or not to lead off with this, because if we were to answer with like Fighters Guild Recruit, for example, that could be very upsetting. We're gonna go with the Scourge here. I wish that I had a better way to deny the Veteran on this, but sadly I do not. We're gonna go ahead and do this. Essentially, both of these, they are gonna end up going face. This because they want it to survive for the Veteran effect. Mournhold because they do not want to give me... Ooh, alright, the Vanguard. Vanguard is not good for me for a number of reasons. But these curses in hand are going to end up being very beneficial the following turn when I get to Shearpoint Dragon. The issue is I have to survive to get to Shearpoint Dragon. So this Barrow Stalker is going to be a development, and we're going to want to be able to trade into stuff, so we're going to end up using a Ring Charge to also play this Galen. I'm just trying to decide what we want to Galen, and I actually think it's the Bat. And the reason I'm going to do this is because we are going to need some Prophecy help. Hopefully this means we'll run into a Bat Prophecy, because that could just win the game for us if that goes off successfully. You can trust me. But I only need 1 shot. All right. They are very aggressively punching me in the face. That was not a Werebat, but it is a prophecy that we will happily take. now we have to figure out how to best use our resources to slow things down. We have a shear point and 2 curses, and then we also have a lot of potential value trades. And as such, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and have this go here, because then this opens up a value trade here. And we're going to have this give us a guard. We're going to go ahead and shear point this one. And double curse this one. And the reason we're doing it this way is because this gives us a guard in both lanes along with another creature. That's kind of important. We also kind of want to hide this a bit because that's going to amplify any of our other effects. We're 2 turns away from it, but for example, if a shear point is on the board when you play Banelord, it will kill everything in that lane. Murkwater Witch is fine here if we want to also develop the Werebat. So this again gives us a guard in this lane, and the Witch allows Galen to make this trade. And let's just go ahead and develop a Werebat. Not swing, we want to try to get this drain. But this does open us up to, now Banelord can potentially clear a lane. Dark Seducer maybe helps us stabilize. Now Banelord I don't believe is going to clear this because it only triggers when something would be reduced, and this having 1 health unfortunately means it's not actually being reduced. Yeah, that's what I was expecting to occur there. But now that this is a guard, we can sacrifice this one to keep our shear point alive and the Werebat. And we'll take this drain and pass, because right now we're just trying to stabilize. Likely set up Dark Seducer over here on this following turn. Maybe not. Shear point and weakness just clears, so we don't get the drain on board, but we clear. So I think I'm fine with this instead. Just a little bit of extra insurance. If we just keep clearing, there's a chance they just outright concede as well, but we would like the opportunity to stabilize. That's good news for us. We've also already used 2 silence effects, so. We're okay with that.
Walk without.
We'll just. We still have 1 shear point and another one in hand. We'll happily take the clear and develop the Seducer, which if this does not get silenced or removed, should just close out the game. And there is a concede. So it was a little bit worrisome in the mid portion of that game, but as you can see, this deck is kind of centered around certain power spikes. Turns like 6 and 7 are big power spikes because you open up shear point, you open up Banelord. We're gonna jump into another game here. But the idea is if you can use a bunch of these free curse effects and then you get increased value from them, being able to kind of store some up, whether that's from the Scourges or even just Murkwater Shaman, things like that, and then playing the shear point and kind of using that to deal with the existing board all in one fell swoop, you can turn things around. I've been hard again. Okay. This one is likely not an aggressive one. I don't think we run into that 2 times in a row. This is keepable though. This is keepable. There is a temptation to ring charge this because I'll likely want to ring charge these 2 to get them going. Well, we're gonna do the Galen. I want the body, and now that we've seen a Necromancer, like, there's no reason to wait. And if this is
your
truly
power from their blood.
interesting, maybe it's not.
Repel the Outlanders.
We'll use our top deck to maybe draw a response out.
I raise the spine of death.
So the downside here is like I can play this in Curse, but it won't stop effects like Archer's Gambit or Crossbow or even Sword. It does stop Squish, but that's about it.
Repel the
So I
Outlanders.
think what we do is we take our damage. And then I think we just hold on to the Curse for now. Could end up regretting that, but I think they're going to get their ramp either way. So we will wait and see.
Heed my warning. I will not repeat.
Shadow Shift. Oh, all right. Well,
To chaos!
don't I look foolish? Still a couple of turns away from Senior Sahan. I think that we'll take the Sanctuary Pet though. Again, I fully expect some sort of Gambit or Crossbow or something, but the reality is you can't really like play around it. You have to play into it and try to force them to use it in the way that you deem acceptable. I think that's one. How do I want to say this? I think that's one of the things that people get hung up on is they say like, well, there's no way for me to play around it. And that's technically true. But the reality is you play around things by not allowing your opponent the ability to dictate how things are used. You force it out of them. That's how you play around a lot of these effects. You just say, listen. All right, so I could double trade into that if I played like Reaper or Sai Sahan. Would deny the ramp, but I'm also kind of shorting myself damage. Do I care that much about the ramp there? Or do I just want to push face? Like, am I just trying to race? This is a pretty significant threat if I want to try to just race my opponent. I don't have a lot of burst options, though. There is that drawback. I think we just try to race. I'm probably going to regret this. This is probably the incorrect way to pilot this, but
I will keep the animals safe.
we're going to do this and we're just going to get rid of Lucian so that these don't have the buff any longer coming their way for slaying. I mean, he gets a value trade on both. I'm basically saying you get value trades and one magicka for me trying to push damage. All right, now Mummify was not something I was expecting. Sanctuary Pet I felt like was more in line with the kind of answer I could have expected here. Some Heaven Heart decks do run Mummify, but it's not typically a staple. Interesting choice there because they could have traded the other way and saved both
Whose sphere is the ancient darkness.
creatures. Well, that's a great top deck for me because I don't want them to continue getting shrine value. That much I'm certain of. Just go ahead and deny that. Though, With our opponent sitting on 8 cards in hand, maybe that's also a misplay. There also comes a time where you have to assess, like, I can shut down their value engine, but the reality is they already have all the cards they could ever want, so who cares?
Die, endless one.
What are we going after?
Okay.
What are we going after?
Double Thieves Guild Fence. I'm gonna just
Smell the
come right out and say it.
stench of the
Not
living.
something else that I was expecting to see. Not something I was expecting to run into. Really need to get rid of this because it's actually impacting my play the rest of the way here. So I think we're gonna go ahead and hit him with the weakness. And we're gonna use the drain. I guess we're gonna slow that down. No good way to deal with that the way that I would have liked, though, so. Whatever card they drew just now got quite the discount. Let's hope that they don't have, like, debilitate. Debilitate would be rather debilitating. Yuck, yuck, yuck.
To chaos with you. I raise the spine of
Oh, it's just gonna be a rage. So they can go up to, I don't know, like 20-something Magicka. I mean, they're at 12. They're getting 12 more, basically. Not bad, not bad. So I can run some chains with that Necromancer if I want. I mean, the good news is that they actually are out of cards now, so maybe shutting down that shrine ended up being the correct play. Just do this for now. Just to get the body on the board. Kind of force them to deal with a singular threat, I suppose.
to get mother some flowers.
Well, right when I was talking about how they were out of cards. They're like 14 cards deep in their deck, but they've already found Cicero, so there goes that idea. I mean, theoretically, a buffed up Necromancer can get back a Reaper, but
I do not fear
oof.
death.
It's probably still the correct play, as opposed to chaining. Because if I go with the Necro Chain, then the next card that I pick up is just a Thieves Guild Recruit to draw. It's not feeling that impressive, so.
Rise, my servant.
I do think that catching this Reaper here makes the most sense. It is also enough to threaten lethal. Now again, they just drew a fistful of cards. They're gonna have answers. They're gonna kill the creatures I just played, but. Skyforge. This Ebonheart player is filled with surprises.
Show me what you got, hero.
But they are basically out of cards again.
Chaos take you.
Well, that's frustrating though, just simply because of the bonus. All right, well,
I bargain.
let's draw a card.
This is interesting.
Begone.
Let's go ahead and use our Dread Mage. I guess we'll save the first. Use this instead. Oh, as much as I don't want to hit them and give them this rune, I think it's a requirement. They're gonna get this slay as well. There's nothing I can really do about that. Skyforge will buff it, but this curse isn't enough to take it down. So right now we just have to hope we're not dead. 'Cause if they've got like Swift Strike, we're just dead. I don't even know what I'm playing against right now. Like, this is full on slay Ebonheart. All right. So crossbow does it as well.
I've got a job to do.
Oh, how I wish I ran like cliff racers.
Drown in the river of battle.
But I do not. Alright, so looking like this one's gonna end up being a loss, but I don't know what we could have done differently. Oh, I've got the Viper. I don't have like Mentor's Ring or anything. And sadly, this thing is immune to everything. Actually not everything. We're still dead though. Theoretically, we have outs for this. Leaflurker does exist. We could play like Camel and then use Leaflurker and a Curse. However, we still don't have an effective way at that point to deal with the other large threats that are on the board. And again, believe it or not, Skyforge being a thorn, we could try to clean this up. And then just throw a Barrowstalker over here for Red Brahmin, but this here means it will eat the Barrowstalker so that Red Brahmin can get through. Well, let's go, I was gonna say, see if we would have found anything anyway. Turns out the answer is no. We just didn't have enough magicka. We need one more, and we could drain that side.
You will die where you
But yeah, the Red Brahmin being over there was essentially what sealed it. We had ways that we could deal with the Scalen. Oh well. I suppose if we're gonna lose to an Ebonheart deck, I want to lose to one that's running Skyforge and hulking Scalen, because why not? So anyway, I find the wound deck fun. It's interesting. It's a very fun mechanic. It gives me an excuse to play cards that I used to absolutely adore. Again, there was a time where I ran a very fun tempo-based assassin that also leaned heavily on Leaflurkers and Shearpoint Dragons. Things like that. This list kind of reminds me of that, so I like it. It gets my stamp of approval in terms of fun factor. So if you made it this far, thanks for watching, and until next time, may you walk on warm sands.